My friends, let's remind ourselves that we are the ETs. As you know, at Farsight, we've been studying remote viewing scientifically for a long while learning how remote viewing works and how to improve it. We have also been applying remote viewing operationally for a long while as well to resolve major mysteries that confront humanity.
But overall, everything that these subjects are doing are because these subjects have programmed them.
Well, the extraterrestrial presence on and near Earth is one of those mysteries, and we have dived into that topic using our version of remote viewing more than anyone. If anything, we have found out that the old biblical saying has great truth. As above, so below. You see, we have discerned that Earth is filled with people who are much like everyone else in the galaxy. We like to call all subjects ISBs. And an ISB is someone who is simply for the purpose of being. ISBs, which means us, cannot be killed by any known force in the universe. We are eternal by our very own nature. Well, that means that we all have been around for a very long time, a lot longer than humanity has been on Earth. And that means that we all had to come from somewhere else before we came here, or before we were dumped here, whichever.
Maybe just surrounding them, kind of like watching them, kind of making sure things are going however they're supposed to go here.
However we got here, we did not start here. That obviously means that before we were humans, we were extraterrestrials. The only major difference between the extraterrestrials that we see when we remote view and humans is that it is common for extraterrestrials to have some memory of who they were previously, and for them to be able to communicate telepathically with each other and with ease. Humans seem totally convinced that they started when they were born and that they end when they die. There is no previous nor an after. And they also seem convinced that telepathy is just a myth. That is honestly the only difference between the ETs and humans. And we at Farsight are doing as much as possible to fix those two problems. And each and every one of you are helping in the process of fixing humanity by watching our projects. You are the leaders in the process of planetary transformation. But this also tells us that the easiest way to understand what the extraterrestrials are like is to look at what humans are like. You see, our basic nature is not changed by having our memories erased or by inhibiting our natural ability to communicate telepathically. That is done by the after-death processing of ISBs using the so-called death traps, which you can learn about by watching one of our past projects of that name. And it is also done by messing with our genetics so that telepathy is inhibited. But none of that erases us as ISBs. Underneath it all, we are the same ISBs who have populated worlds across this galaxy and possibly some other galaxies. Our personalities are still there. We are still there deep inside, and given how long we have existed, it is likely that we have played all parts in the galactic dramas that have run through our galaxy. And that means that all of us have likely played the parts of victims and victimizers, of prey and also predators, of the good guys and the bad guys. Whatever has happened out there in the galaxy, we have been a part of it on both sides of any drama. We've never been all good or all bad, and we've done it all, and no one on Earth has escaped the eternal problems of ISB existence.
The non-human looking subject turned him off, and I'm hesitant to say that he killed him, but it's like It's like there was a switch that was flipped and the human-looking subject just turned off.
Well, eventually many of us ticked off some other ISBs where we used to live, and okay, a small fraction of humans were pathological criminals, which is why we have so much violence on Earth. The criminals were dumped here. Alternatively, perhaps some humans simply didn't pay their taxes out there in the galaxy. It happens. Some governments are really strict about that kind of stuff, but all those things do not apply to the vast majority of humans. As for anyone else, perhaps we were creatives in societies that no longer had need for creatives. Remember that ancient Greeks sentenced Socrates to death or banishment simply because he annoyed people by asking philosophical questions down by the marketplace. He didn't rob anyone or kill anyone. He simply asked penetrating questions that caused people to stop what they were doing and think. He penetrated the veil of robotic existence and dared to ask people to wake up. That is all. And Jesus was hated by his contemporaries simply because he said God is gentle and nice, and love is the energy that flows through the universe. Contemporaries killed Martin Luther King Jr. for the same reason, and they killed John F. Kennedy because he inspired people to think bigger, to aspire to something great. How many examples do I need to give you to realize that these problems that humanity faces are the same that we have all faced for millions and millions of years? We live in a galaxy where there is free will, and wherever there is free will, there will be ISBs who freely choose either conformity or individualism, uniformity or freedom, sameness or differentness. The way you can eliminate the struggles that you see around you is to eliminate the choices that we have available to us. Societies where conformance is enforced try to prevent creative spirits from doing things. They don't have artists. They don't have exuberant expression. They don't have passion to create that which is new and exciting. They exist peacefully often, but that is it. Some feel that that kind of peace is death. Regardless of who we once were, those ET societies who banished us here felt that it was worth a great deal of effort to rid themselves of us. So here we are, setting up the social ecosystem of a stable prison planet is not something that the ETs took lightly. They felt it was important for them to get rid of us. They went to a lot of trouble creating the controls that we see still operating on this planet. So, what this tells us most of all is that for us to understand the extraterrestrials, we need only to look in the mirror. We are the extraterrestrials. Each and every one of you are extraterrestrials. You have human bodies currently, but heck, that is not such a big thing. It's only a portion. You still are what you have always been. You don't have to go to a place of religious worship in order to have eternal life. You have eternal life by default. If it was possible to kill you, you would not even be here. The ETs put you here precisely because they could not kill you. Nobody can kill you. No matter what they do, it cannot be done. But they can trap you. And here you are, trapped. And it is the job of Farsight to simply wake you up. Because if you wake up, you will begin the struggle to be free again. And given the levels of creativity that exists on this planet, you know we are capable of doing it. Meanwhile, watch the news. What you see humans doing to themselves is what the extraterrestrials do to themselves. As above, so below. What they do, we do. They have wars and all sorts of conflicts out there. There are classic struggles between those who desire conformity and those who desire freedom. They have even blown up entire planets in their efforts to win these struggles. You may say that that is sick, and indeed, you won't find us complaining about that characterization. But this is what happens out here.
So lighting up. Okay, and get the confirmation. They can see me. And then I'm getting a feeling of annoyance emanating from them. And then as soon as I do that, I can kind of feel the presence kind of like behind me.
For those of you who have continued to watch Farsight's ET News, that is the single dominant lesson that comes out of these programs. The ETs do not exist in a state of brotherly harmony and peace. They struggle. They fight among themselves, and they all try to defend themselves from other ETs. Does that mean that human existence is hopeless? That we should sink into a depression of resignation? Absolutely not. The mission of Farsight is to help wake humanity up. Disclosure is more than a path to knowing more. Disclosure is the path to freedom, true freedom. Because freedom has never been something that you have. It has never been something that someone gives you. It has always been something that you fight for. Freedom is not something that you seek to attain and then you can relax once you have it. It is always something that you struggle every day to defend and to enhance. Freedom is the process of fighting for your right to exist as a free Isby who makes personal choices. Freedom has always been a process. It has never been guaranteed by constitutions or laws or other people for that matter. Freedom is the result of your struggle every day to be the person who you want to be. You will always have allies in that struggle. And Farsight's mission is to be one of those allies. But it still is your struggle, a struggle that is not a burden, but a joy. Because being free is joyful. The process of freedom is joyful. Waking you and everyone up on this planet is simply a process of reminding you that your nature is to be happy, even when you are fighting in the trenches for your right as Isbys, by remaining true to who you really are. Disclosure leads to freedom. Disclosure is part of the process of being free.